Satu Day, what's happening, guys? Welcome to another Sunday of sitting and bullshitting. Yep, starting to come a series, I guess. I don't know. I hadn't done anything but sitting and bullshit for so long. I don't know if I know how to make a regular video. um, so I've been kind of busy, so I haven't been trying to take a whole lot of loaners. But Billy had sent some nice back, so he sent one back for me to check out. You know, I kind of like to do that with a couple of guys. JD, Will, Steve, a bunch of guys. I loan out stuff, they loan stuff back to me, so it's kind of cool. More, it's not like a pass around, but it's close to. It's loaning buddies nice, like it should be. Uh, the one that Jose loaned me last week, the XR3, like that, I like the T1. The XR3, it just ain't left my brain, man. Like something about Rogovit's nice. Like Steve Clare got me hooked on the Rogovitz with this one, but I got my own made about the same time. This impeccable quality, man. I'm all about Rogovitz here lately. I know I keep repeating myself about that, but anywho, what I was trying to get at before I got sidetracked already. Imagine that, minute in, I'm already sidetracked. Billy loaned me this little guy. I don't even know what the hell tac ops. I don't know. I don't even know what it is, man. He just wanted to get my opinion on it, and it's gonna sound like an asshole here, but the dingleberry hanging off of it don't help none. But it's a better knife than I thought it was going to be. I'll tell you that much. Like the actions on it is pretty dang good, actually, man. So if you're interested more in this knife, I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. I'm not going to use it. I play with it a little bit. I believe it's Italian made. You can check out Billy's video on that if you're really interested in the knife. My take on it is it's better than I thought it was going to be. That's my only take on it. It's not a knife I would really use. So channel shout out. If you're into more of the American made stuff like I am, check out Appalachian ADV Rider. He's pretty much, he did do motorcycle videos, and he does some stuff that's kind of related to his hobby of riding ADV bikes, but it's mostly knife stuff is what he's doing now, and it's mostly, well, I think all American made knives. I don't think I've seen anything but American made knives on his channel so far. So if you haven't heard of him, check out Appalachian ADV Rider. Seems like a really cool dude. I can't remember who. Someone had asked to see the Tier XL. I know ADV Rider did too, but somebody else had asked too. If that was you, hit me up. I'm sure we got messages on Instagram about it. I can't remember who it was. I apologize. So I did a little choppy videos and got a few things. So basically, I'm gonna do a highlight of AZ knife makers. Then I'm gonna do how I did a stud install for like a how-to kind of thing, or information, or I don't know what you want to call it. Like some people like when I did the flipper delete. So this is kind of sort of the same realm of just how I do shit, I guess. And then I did an outro. So this has all been backwards. Like I'm all over the place. I can't even remember what the hell I've said and hadn't said, and what video I've trashed and what video I didn't trash. So enjoy the video. Hope it turns out. All right, so I thought I'd do something a little different today. Kind of go over some makers from AZ that I have in my collection. Kind of sort of highlighting DSK as the final thing, because we all change in our collection, grow, change what we like, what we want to collect, just want to get different stuff in general. So last collection video I did, most of it was most nice I have for any manufacturer were Medfords. Now I'm down to 3. So I got this little guy, which is the RMP, and looks like this guy's got schmutz all over him. RMP, that made the scale for this guy. I hardly ever carry this thing, man. It's just one that I like to keep around because it's for a small knife, man. It's got some big knife ergo. So if you need a small knife but fits big hands, this is one for me that I like. It's not much on the action thing. Like it could definitely be improved, and maybe I will do something with it one day. But I just play with it a little bit every now and then. But that's the first Medford we're going to talk about. And obviously, Medford's kind of like the bigger name from Arizona. This is the Marauder H. This one I probably would have sold if it wasn't in my favorite steel, which is 3V. 3V is definitely one of my favorite ones, especially from Medford. I like the 3V. Is this 3V or is this? Yeah, this is 3V. I thought so. I don't dislike this knife. I just don't carry it much. Like out of all the knives I got from Medford, or had from Medford, it's probably my second favorite that I ever had. But this one, by far, if I'm going to carry a Medford, it's going to be this TFF1. Like this one right here, just everything about this suits me perfectly. This is the H variant, so all the materials are 3/16. This is also one of his original models. This one has to be an S35, but I don't think I really care, especially with the black coated blade. what steel it's in. I prefer toughness in these style knives over edge retention. Same like, well, that's why I like the 3V so much. It's a real tough steel, right? Not to get too much into that stuff. But I like this knife a ton. Ergos work for me. Everything about this knife seems to kind of fit me. I did have a couple other TFF ones. TFF ones in the past. I had one of the Fat Daddies in the past. This one just seems to suit me the best, so I've held on to it the longest. But those are my 3 remaining Medfords. I may sell that Marauder H one day. I don't know. Same with the RMP. Like, either one of them get carried, and I hate having knives in the collection that just kind of sit there. I'd much rather them be carried. But that's like the maker that everybody knows from Arizona is going to be the Medford, right? So here's a lesser known. This is Magnum Works. And does mostly fixed blade stuff. But I showed this on Instagram the other day, and people were asking about it. So the studs were changed. I did change those out. It had like a single-sided kind of stop pin kind of thingy, and it actually kind of looked like the stud from the DSK. It was kind of something similar to this. And I had to change it up. These are titanium, and I just kind of made it work for how I wanted to do it. So they're kind of thumb deploying and stop pins, and now kind of sort of like what I did for that Daiwa that Billy has now. But this is a unique one. I've seen a couple other his folders, and it's supposed to be on phosphor bronze, but looking at it, it doesn't look like phosphor bronze to me. So I may end up changing something with it. It's just, this is such a weird, unique piece that I can't bring myself to do anything to it, even though I really wanted to. Like, I initially bought it, like when I say I didn't do anything, I fixed it from, it had a ton of lock rock and weird issues because the stop pin was moving and it was locking on the show side versus the frame lock side. So it was moving around a lot. But anyhow, once I fixed that major issue, like, I don't know, I've had plans to do other things with it. I just haven't got around to doing it, and I may not. I don't know. We'll see in the future. This is just cool in having the collection. Unique piece for sure. Next one is a new acquisition. So if you see me on Instagram, I bought a Scorpion 6, and I bought this one from Chuck Nunface. Immediately upon getting it, all this was all anode that, what do they call it? Rainbow anode. Not called rainbow. What is it called? Lightning anode. It's all lightning anode. The whole thing was lightning anode, and that just ain't my flavor personally. It's not that I think it looks bad, but I don't like the slickness of it. The other thing I didn't like about this knife initially was these edges were much too sharp for me, and some of these holes weren't deburred properly, like the way I like to do it as a machinist. So I pulled it apart. I deburred pretty much all the rough edges. I rounded this pocket clip a little bit so it wasn't quite as pointy. Some of these inside edges, I put my own little chamfer on the insides of those so it'd be less there. But he did a real good job on the cutout for lock bar relief. That's great. But you see, I can put a heavier relief on the inside or the rest of it so it doesn't kind of hit your fingers wrong. Same with these. And then, of course, aluminum oxide blasted it and tumbled it. So now it looks like this. This is for now, right now, this is what it's going to look like. I can foresee changes happening in the future. This is what it looks like right now. I think this is Nitro V steel. And you can see I already got a little bit of wear in it. It came with me a little bit of wear, and I put a little more into it already. It came with a good little edge. Chuck Nunface hooked it up before he sent it my way. And it's got this ridiculously large, I don't know, attitude adjuster or something hang out the back. The knife as a whole, I dig. I need to change a few things more to make it more mine. Like that adjuster on the back, if you take that away, it looks like a much better proportioned knife. Like now it's just super long in the handle and not long enough on the blade. It's kind of weird size. It's like, but it's a good size, don't get me wrong, but it's like a weird portion wise. It's kind of like sort of like some of the Daiwas and even that Magnum Works I just showed you. But so Magnum Works has no association. I don't think he ever worked for Medford. Even I don't know if they had even talked to Medford. This is Shane, and Shane worked for Medford. If you didn't know that already, I'm pretty sure everybody does know that. But when I've been into Medford for years. When I first moved to Arizona, like 2011, 2012, somewhere in that area. I think it's 2011 when we moved here. We initially went up and met Greg at his shop. Ordered Praetorian tees when they first came out. The very first time he offered them, he was always making them as a full size at the time. Right when he started making Praetorian G's and Praetorian T's, he actually Praetorian A's at the time. We were the first ones to kind of go up there and place our order. But anyhow, when we went to pick them up, which is months later, maybe even, I don't know, it was a long time. It might have been a year. When we went to pick him up, Shane had started working for him, and he was the only guy. It was like open house for Medford. He was the only guy from Medford that came around and talked to us. And so I always remembered Shane for that, like being a super nice, outgoing guy, even when he worked for Medford. But if you look at his and look at the Medfords, like you can definitely see a lot of the design lines A lot of the same similar. Well, I guess I should get the Marauder H, which is closer to the same size. But you can see a lot of the same, you know, grind features and stuff like that. Even how the plunge line comes in and that sort of thing. There's a lot of similarities. Obviously, Shane has his own style, and that's what I like. He brought his own different style to the Medfords. Digging this one so far, and I can't honestly tell you what the name of it is. I forgot. Somebody will watch it. I'll know exactly what it is. I have to look at the card to know. I just know it's one of the bigger Scorpion 6s, and for me, I've always found that Scorpion 6s, I like the design or like how it's finished, but I don't like both. So that's why I bought this one, knowing I was gonna refinish it myself. But on bearings, overall action, overall knife, very good build quality, on par with what you see from Medford and DSK. Like it's kind of a sort of merge in between the two, but with unique style. Like Shane definitely has his own style when it comes to that. And I shouldn't just say Shane, because I know his wife's a huge part of the business too. I just don't know her name, and I haven't followed him that closely. I've just my first Scorpion 6 ever. So DSKs, I kind of wanted to do the highlight of the DSKs because I kind of sort of foresee myself maybe downsizing some of the DSKs, but I don't know. We'll see. So Megalodon, I got this one from Plethora Blades. This is an absolute beast of a knife. If you need a beast folder that's a flipper, I don't think you can really get any beefier with better action. Like that X3 that I had borrowed from Jose definitely has a different action than this one, but not as beastly, not even as beastly as this is. This is just an own little world of beastly. Megalodon is the badass. Like, it's definitely the cream of the crop as far as the big stuff goes. Kickstand is kind of like DSK's Praetorian. Like, it's the one that everybody kind of sort of knew him. That's how he grew his name. This clip this clip was originally on this one, and that clip was originally on this one, but I don't like the bougie shit, so I took it off. This is a Damascus, and it's kind of the plain tie sides, which is exactly what I prefer. This is a perfect combo for me. I love this combination. You know, I might buy some more like that. This down the road, we'll have to see. But I definitely like that overall finish of that kickstand and stuff. And that's been a knife that's the longest run I've had of DSKs. The VXC is the other one from DSK that I have. I actually had this GF1 on order, and he popped this one up maybe a day or two before my order is going to get done. And he's like, "This one just got done, but it's available." And I was like, "I'll take it." And I asked him, can I use my spot to get this one? He's like, "Yeah, but you can still get the other one you want to." And I was like, "Hell yeah, do them both." So I end up getting these. They're kind of sort of pairs. You can kind of sort of see with the little skull logos. This is a GF1, obviously, and you see the little skull logo. So he kind of sort of did them as in a pair. So he built them pretty much one day after another one. This one does have, both of these have the extra thick 250 stock blade. So it does make it a little bit less of a practical as far as like cutting up smaller stuff, but more beastly. So it depends on what you're looking for. Like when you get knives like this, like there's advantages and disadvantages to every single one of these. All DSKs, as far as I know, if they're not Damascus, or 154 CM or CPM 154, I can't remember which one. Kind of neither here nor there for me. Some of you people care more than I do about that kind of stuff. The Slipner is kind of a recent one. I think I showed it a while back. I like the finish on this one. I had another Moon Crater GF2 that now lives with Steve Clare, and I kind of wanted another dimpled finish one. This one came up, had the acid blade. It's pretty much the almost exact configuration as the other one, other than this is the flipper and the other one was a GF1. This is a Slipner. The only thing about the Slipner is that I didn't realize when I got it is the stock is a little bit thinner. There's a GF1. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the tie stock, it's just overall a little bit thinner of a knife than like a GF1. But I love the pattern in it, and I love the overall finish of that knife. Cool knife so far. I haven't had it long enough to really say it's the shit or not the shit. This is the GF2 Tanto that has the nice anodized blade, or whatever you want to call that, oxidized. Yeah, oxidized blade. That's what I meant. And I put the bougie clip on this one that came off that kickstand. This is my wife's knife, more or less. I mean, it's our knife, but it's her knife. She calls it Annie for anniversary because I gave it to her for anniversary. I know, kind of cheesy, but you know, we like those little stupid things around here. And that brings me to this one, which was originally a hookup from my buddy Sean. Sean asked me on Facebook, "Hey, what's a good price for GF2 thumbstud?" And he showed me the pictures of it. told me what the price was, told me who was selling it, and it was Cannon over there at Steel Capital, and I've done business with Cannon before, so I immediately messaged on Instagram. Super cool, dude. Um, this came with the other stud, and I'm gonna insert a video here in a minute that shows me changing the stud if you care about that. But now it's dual studs. These are all tie connector hardware. And a couple days later, Steve, Steve, actually messaged me and asked me about the same knives. So Sean got the other one, by the way. So I got this one, Sean got the other one. And I got it basically because the price was right. Also, too, if I'm being honest, like the finish wise, like I don't have another one of these scallops. I had a javelina, and that went to Aaron. I traded that to Aaron. So I didn't have a thumb stud because that other thumb stud, the javelina thumb stud, went to Aaron, and the other one was the scallop pattern. So I figured it'd be a good way to kind of put a thumb stud and a scallop pattern back in the collection. But anyway, Steve, Scotch and Things, got a hold of me a couple days after I'd ordered this, and I hadn't even got it yet. Was asking me about it, and I was like, man, I bought one and Sean bought the other one. He's like, dang, I didn't know. I thought they were still for sale. I was like, man, honestly, dude, I just bought it because the price was right, and I really didn't have a, I already have, this is two GF. I've had two before, but this is two GF2s, right? Out of all the DSKs, it's not my favorite model. Like if I was gonna have two of somethings, I'd actually take a GF1 over a GF2. Personally, I like the little bit beefiness of them, a little bit more length on them. The VXCs I love, kickstands I love, Megalodons I love. So there's so many other variants that I would have rather had besides, or models I should say, than a GF2. But this one came up, and it was available, and I don't have a thumb stud one, so I thought, why not? Upon getting it, changed the stud for Steve, and also got another one prepped for Sean because Sean's a lefty and he bought this knife and it's right side only, so he's definitely gonna need the stud. So Sean, I got you hooked up, brother. And I'll get that mailed off to you later on. And Steve, I'll get this one out to you Tuesday there. But it's a cool one. I dig it. Hopefully it'll serve you well. Anyway, so I passed it on to Steve because he wanted it. So why not hook him up? All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say about AZ makers. I just kind of wanted to highlight them all and show you all at once. I'm gonna do like an intro outro kind of thing, and we'll see how this turns out. All right, guys, just got this GF2 in here. This is one of the newer ones because it's got that laser on it, so it's a fairly new process for Dan. Anyway, this is a single thumb. This is thumb stud operated, single thumb stud. So you kind of see where it is. It's a little bit goofy on the thumb deployment, and you can do it, but you're used to coming here, and so it's farther down than you're used to. It works, but like lining up for the finger flick, it would be ready for the finger flick. It just doesn't have a stud there. So what we're trying to do is take this stud out, figure out what we need to do to put this other stud in here. So I already broke this loose, but we'll just unscrew this real quick. Well, you don't know what this is, like I do. I already checked it, but let's say you don't know what this is. How do you figure out what to put in there to fill this gap and make it like not walk around, or whatever you want to call it, like what size thread? I mean, you can get a bolt and try to figure out what bolt it is and that sort of thing, but if you're trying to put physically something in there, so if you look at these stupid drill indexes, kind of like this is a Harbor Freight El Cheapo, but basically you kind of go through here and select. So if you can see over here, I know about the range we're supposed to be in. Let's just try this number 28 drill, which is 140 thousandths. It should go right through there. It does. And then you're at, what we're doing is checking the minor diameter of the threads to see what that diameter is. Go to the 27, which is 144 thousandths. You can see it kind of goes in there snug. It's probably about the biggest one we're going to get. And this number 26 is 147 thousandths. So you can see it goes in but doesn't go all the way through. So we'll call it 145 thousandths ish. Okay, it's not exact. It's not an exact way of doing it. This is just a way for you guys to do it at the house. So if you didn't have the drill chart and you needed to look it up, you could figure out what size your drill was or whatever else with the regular drill chart. You can find these online. They're readily available, super easy to locate. So from Tie Connector, you can buy these studs. So this particular stud is a number 7 stud. That's what he calls his stud. And if you look on it, see it's got that shoulder already turned on it. Okay, that shoulder is 1/8 or 125 thousandths. So this hole is around 145, and this shoulder is around 125. So you can pretty much just stick this in there. It's got a little bit of play. You can make it play, but once you put the other side in there, and you kind of, what I always do is push this towards the direction you're going to be pushing the bolts. In other words, push it this way or this way. Once you're in those two directions, it's not going to go once it has the other stud in. So you can just take another stud, put it on the other side, and then I highly recommend his screws. These are 1/2 inch to start with. You just got to cut them down to whatever length they need to be, and then you thread them in and Loctite them, and that's it, done. So I'll get a picture of it or show you a quick another shot of the video, whatever one is done, after I get the studs cut and get them both on there and see how much better I think it feels or it doesn't. Okay, hang on a sec. The other thing I forgot to mention a minute ago is if you know the size bolt that is, like 832, you can look that up on a chart and find the minor diameter as well. You're just kind of guessing without putting a pin in it. I mean, obviously, if you're precision pins, you could try to check that. This is just to get you an idea what that shoulder is, right? Now, if we're talking about precision fit, like what I would call a precision fit, if I was making a knife, I would drill this thing 126 and be 1,000 clearance and basically just put that, or maybe even 125 and put the exact fits where it's super snug on that. But we're retrofitting studs on this one. So on this particular case, and I've already tried to make sure it fit. The tie connector stud you just throw into one stud. Normally you're gonna Loctite this after the process is done, but for now, we're just gonna put it in there, and you're just basically putting it in like a newer stud. You're gonna hold it there. Stud comes to the other side, and you're just gonna thread this other one on this side. So essentially, those shoulders are breasting inside that knife. So when you flick this, the pressure of that thumb stud that you're putting on that thumb stud is not put on that screw. It's put on the studs, the shoulder from the studs. This one didn't need to be cut down at all. So it worked out perfectly where I can just screw it in there. And that's it. This is the whole thing right here, all in there, screwed together, no problem at all. So now you have a knife with 2 thumb studs. Took you all 10 seconds to do it. Probably cost you maybe $5 for the thumb studs, $10 maybe. And then also the studs. So I don't know what the studs go for. I always buy the bolt pack at like 25 or something. You can see already 1/2 second into it. I haven't Loctited it or anything, but finger flick, way easy. And the thumb flick, actually with this stud, is actually better than the other one because it is somewhat crowned versus the bolt thing that he had in there, which is just a square shoulder bolt. That's the same thing I was basically complaining about on the T1, the Miller Brothers T1 that Jose let me borrow. It's the same kind of studs, like they're just shouldered socketed cap screws, more or less. So this one is definitely a little more ergo studs. So quick little mod for the GF2 or GF2T. I think it makes this knife way better. Now, personally, you can do whatever you want to as finishing. You can leave them alone. You can sandblast them. You can aluminum oxide blast them. You can heat color them. So if you're into the anodizing thing, you could anodize stuff. But I think this goes well with this knife, so I'm gonna leave it as is. All right, so I know the videos are all over the place today. It's been so freaking hot here, and honestly, man, it's one of those things like once the heat gets up, it's hard to think clearly. It is for me anyhow. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Hope you guys have a good week. Hopefully I can mash these videos together and make it sound like something. Not my normal style video, I know, but hey, we do try. Yeah, we're gonna call it there. All right, hope y'all have a great week. Later.